Thank you all. I would first like to thank Glory Baby Ministry for inviting me to speak today. I never thought I'd be giving a speech like this, but this is a wonderful event, and I am so excited and grateful to be able to give you an opportunity to hear what this organization and this ministry was able to do for me and my family during some of the darkest days of my life. My name is Sarah Bessinger. I was born and raised in Bowling Green and have lived here most of my life. I'm an assistant county attorney. I have practiced law in Bowling Green for almost 7 years. I'm a wife to Ryan, a daughter to Buddy and Jill, a sister to Allison, a lover of Jesus, a lawyer, an Enneagram 6, an INTJ. I'm also a mother. And while there are days when it's hard to wrestle with that reality when my baby isn't here on earth, it's true. I'm a mom. I'm a bereaved mom. I'm Owen's mom. My husband Ryan and I have been together since 2012 and married since 2015. We always assumed that we would have a family, and so we planned for that and enjoyed our 20s. A long-distance relationship while I was in law school turned into a comfortable life here in Bowling Green. We settled into our respective careers and eventually decided that even amidst an unprecedented pandemic, we were ready to expand our family. A month later, I was pregnant. We were elated and couldn't wait to tell our families, because we knew how blessed we were. I experienced the typical first trimester ailments, morning sickness, fatigue, nausea, but I was doing well. About a week before our first appointment, I had a slight scare and went in to be seen. If you know anything about lawyers or either of the two personality indicators I referenced before, anxiety and worst case scenario thinking is what we were trained for. But the ultrasound was fine, and we saw our wiggly little nugget for the first time. The baby was okay, and I could relax. At about 10 weeks in late August 2020, I came down with what I thought was a terrible sinus infection. I went to get tested out of abundance of caution, and you guessed it, COVID. I had pretty mild symptoms and went back to work about 2 weeks later. From there, my anxiety about the pregnancy, though, was through the roof. I calmed myself by remembering that we didn't know much about the effects of COVID, and plenty of women were having healthy babies. It would be fine. I'm here to tell you that I did not have a blissful pregnancy. Terrible anxiety, blood pressure issues crept in, and I was being monitored every week. But my labs always came back perfect. My blood pressure seemed to be mostly under control. At around 36 weeks, I felt like something was off with Owen's movement, but I would begin to panic, and then I would feel some movement, and I would reassure myself that everything was fine. As it turns out, everything was not fine. Before my regular checkup on February 4th, 2021, I worried all day. As I drove to pick up my husband, I remember thinking, what am I going to do when they tell us he isn't with us anymore? I specifically remember chastising myself. How could I think that? I was just setting myself up. Don't go into worst case scenario, Sarah. What are you even saying? My blood pressure was the best it had ever been. My labs were perfect. So I felt like I was okay. We discussed induction dates, and before I left the exam room, I mentioned to the doctor that I felt like Owen's movement was changing. He suggested we do a non-stress test just to be sure everything was okay. He already knew my anxious tendencies. But a mother's intuition is not to be taken for granted. The more we searched for a heartbeat, the quieter the room was. I was sent to labor and delivery to have a biophysical profile, but I already knew what happened. As we walked the long hallway through the hospital, I silently begged God not to do this to us. I begged for him to save Owen. I finished my prayer with, not my will, but thy will be done. Within about 30 minutes, an ultrasound confirmed the worst. Dr. Trevor announced to the room, no words any parent should ever have to hear. I'm sorry, there is no heartbeat. Within minutes about hearing about Owen, my sister-in-law, Chelsea, was in contact with Glory Baby Ministry. Chelsea introduced me to Glory Baby several years ago when she was a volunteer seamstress. She explained this lovely and amazing concept about using wedding gowns as burial garments for miscarried and stillborn babies. As someone who didn't have anyone close to me in age who had experienced infant loss or even a miscarriage, I was impressed, but I didn't give it much thought because truthfully, I didn't understand the gravity of the situation. Even though I read the statistics, I didn't understand. 1 in 4 pregnancies will end in miscarriage. 1 in 100 pregnancies will end in stillbirth. Of course, you all understand. As you sit here today at this lovely fundraiser, I hope and pray that this reality did not impact you personally. If it did, I am so sorry. I know the pain and suffering you have felt firsthand, and I know how hard it is to carry. And for those of you who are family members or have friends who have suffered or had this experience, and that's why you're here today, you're amazing allies, and we are so grateful for you. Owen was born via C-section at 11:49 p.m. on February 4th, 2021. He was 5 pounds, 9 ounces, and 16 inches long. He had perfect little hands and feet with 10 fingers and 10 toes, and he looked just like his dad. We held him for as long as we could and cherished those moments through shock and tears. Glory Baby was able to provide a memorial package so quickly, and Chelsea actually chose a gown that she herself had sewn. A beautiful silk gown with a little bow tie. It was precious. We took photos with Owen in the gown and kept it as a keepsake. When it came time to make decisions for Owen's final resting place, we chose to use the blanket that was included in the Glory Baby memorial package as the perfect way to tuck him in. It was baby blue and crocheted with the word love, so he will always and forever be surrounded by our love. Owen's life was short but impactful. He made Ryan and I parents. He made us look toward a future that was bright and exciting. And with his death, our eyes have opened to the reality of pregnancy and infant loss. We are now part of a club no one wants to belong to, but it is full of some of the most amazing people I've ever met. People that are stronger than anyone should ever have to be. People who have held us up when we didn't know how to take the next step. Glory Baby's purpose is bringing comfort to families grieving through a miscarriage, stillbirth, or infant loss. They accomplished their purpose and more for us. It was such a blessing to include Glory Baby in Owen's obituary and to find out later that so many of our family, friends, neighbors, people from church, co-workers, sorority sisters, and more had chosen to support Glory Baby ministry by making donations in Owen's honor. We always say that if we can't have him here, we're so grateful to know that his little life has spoken volumes to help others who might find themselves in similar circumstances one day. Thank you all for your commitment to Glory Baby and all the families that are impacted. We are grateful for you and grateful for this organization. Thanks for listening and enjoy this amazing event. Oh my goodness.
So Sarah shared with you all that she wrapped Owen in a blanket that said love. And so I contacted the crocheter, who happens to be my mother, and she made a crochet blanket with Owen's name across it. The same blanket, but with Owen on it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.